this is technology for you. And for persons who couldn't hear our opening montage, it's still part of the technical glitch, and we'll be sorting all that out. But we are here now, and it's a very, very interesting session today. My name is Loretta, Dr. Loretta Oduare Oburoko, a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist, and many things more with the NHS and beyond. I always, always love these targeted health hours on Saturday by the Caribbean African Health Network. It's simply fantastic. This catchy health hour is opportunity for us to gather knowledge, and knowledge, they say, is power. Information is power. And of course, to make the needed changes at individual, group level, and even organizational level. Today, we are going to be talking about something that is very, very dear to my heart. Because I don't know about other people, but sometimes I wonder, how am I going to look when I'm 70? How am I going to be when I'm 80, 90, 100? And sometimes I look at some people and I'm like, oh, they're aging gracefully. And, so it's healthy aging, everyone. Remember that you have the chats, you have your opportunity to ask questions. You can even suggest future topics to the organizers. But today we have someone to do this subject matter justice, and that is Dr. Oluyemisi Amanda Adigwe. She's a specialty registrar in anesthesia in Merseyside and Lancashire Trust. And trust me, she has an app that is packed full of all you need to know about aging, healthy aging. So I'm going to hand over the floor to you now, Dr. Adigwe, so you can do justice to this subject. Thank you.
Good morning, Loretta, the rest of the CAN team, and everyone listening. It's an honor to be here. And like I was saying earlier, it's a topic that is of benefit to everyone, whatever age you fall in at this point, because aging is a continuous lifelong process. From the time we're born, we start to grow older, and at a certain time, then we start to believe that we're getting old or aging. And so we're going to hopefully talk about this in a way that is understandable and approachable, so we can all go home with something on how to age in a healthy way and gracefully, as you said. So I'll just crack right on and share my screen. Please let me know.
I can hear you. A bit of a glitch. Carry on.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So we are talking about healthy aging. And we're going to discuss it under these topics. I'm trying to move my slides now, and I'm not able to. Okay. All right, so we'll talk about aging and then talk about what healthy aging is. And then we'll discuss areas that are important, in the process of aging and aging in a healthy way. So physical health, mental well-being, healthy nutrition, lifestyle choices, social and cultural supports, preventive measures, and we'll look at resources that are available to help with all of these. Okay. So what is aging in the first place? Aging, we'll look at the medical technical definition, and it says that it is the gradual decline in mental and physical activity over time due to a buildup of molecular and cellular damage. This decline can lead to a higher risk of disease and death, but the changes are not consistent and are not always associated with the person's age. So all of this is just to say what we already know. As we grow older, things are not the same anymore. Your skin is not quite supple. Maybe memory or cognition is not as, sharp as when you were younger. We all see these signs, right? And usually age is associated with this decline, but sometimes there are other factors that can cause it. Could be lifestyle choices, someone's a heavy smoker, heavy drinker, will age faster. I'm sure, Dr. Loretta, sometimes you might be able to determine certain patients. So you see some patients and they tell you they are 60 and you're like, oh, I thought they were 70. You'd say in your mind. And when you listen to them, you may find they're heavy drinkers or heavy smokers. You can see that it's aging them faster. And you see a really young looking 84-year-old. We tend to, in my hospital, my area, we have a very high predominance of the elderly. If you see a good looking 80-something person, very likely their lifestyle choices are good, in terms of maybe they don't smoke, they don't drink, they take walks and all of that. So these things can age you. Aging is also associated with frailty, which is a really big word in, medicine, because it talks about the physiological reserve of a person, the way you can withstand stress. Okay. And if someone is frail, or the more frail a person is, it makes it harder for people to recover from illness or injury, and more susceptible to large declines in health from minor illnesses, from the flu, or adverse events like falling down or needing to go for surgery or being exposed to anesthesia. The frailer someone is, the more difficult it is to bounce back. All right. And frailty is largely associated with age. But like I've also said, other things like chronic conditions, somebody who's battled diabetes for a long time, maybe, or, certain illnesses for a long time, not just diabetes, and maybe not well controlled, I'd say, because if it's well controlled, yeah, it's better. Lifestyle factors, even psychological and social stressors, people who have been under great social stress or psychological stress, emotionally battered, maybe, has suffered a lot of stress, emotionally or psychologically, you may find that they age faster. But by and large, you're talking about age and how age affects frailty. So frailty has 5 indicators: unintentional weight loss, weakness or poor hand grip strength, self-reported exhaustion, slow walking speed, and low physical activity. If you think about these things that I have said, you may be able to identify them in people who are growing older. So if you see a 90-something-year-old, they're usually smaller, shorter than how they were when they were a strapping 42-year-old or 35-year-old. You can see that they're weaker now, poor hand grip strength. These things are normal with aging, but then the idea of what we're talking about is how to delay this decline as much as possible with a healthy lifestyle, so that yes, all these things happen, but they shouldn't happen too early. You understand? If they happen later on, if you're 82, 85, 98, just, getting ready to, you're just, let's just say you're relaxing and you don't really have much to do. But before then, what can we do to be as fit as we can? This is a clinical frailty scale we use. I won't go into many details about it, but it does help us in assessing how someone might respond well to certain care that we give. And I'm only putting it here for everyone to be mindful that this is a very, very great determinant of sometimes the kind of care some people receive. So I work as an anesthetist, and we manage the intensive care unit. The intensive care unit is a unit that has very few beds and gives very, very specialized care for critically ill patients, right? Now, an intensive care bed is a very competitive bed because you have to take a case that you feel all the resources you're going to use on that patient may have an effect. But if I'll give you an example, these are the choices we have to make, and they're not always easy. But if I have a 65-year-old man who is a heavy drinker, a heavy smoker, he has chronic obstructive lung disease because of the smoking, he has a poor respiratory reserve, he's a heavy drinker, his liver is affected because of his drink, and he comes in critically ill with something. And I have a 75-year-old man who has maybe well-controlled hypertension, has a history of walking 2 miles a day, you understand, doesn't smoke or used to smoke and quit 30 years ago. These are real life scenarios of patients. Do you realize that we would more likely pick the 75-year-old because he would have a lower frailty score? He's more ambulant, he's healthier generally. and he will respond. He's more likely to respond better to treatment. So these things are really important, and it's opened my eyes to how our choices actually determine what happens to us when we're totally helpless and other people have to make decisions for us. So I'll just leave that there, and we're going to talk about how to ensure that we age in a healthy way. Now, what is healthy aging? This is just the process of maintaining physical, mental, and social well-being as one grows older. It is adopting a healthy lifestyle to prevent diseases and stay active to enhance the quality of life in our later years. So you want to stay active, you want to be healthy. And health, we know, is not just your physical health, it's your physical, mental, and social well-being. It's a continuous process. So it's not just a one-day thing or a 2-week thing or 1-year thing. You have to optimize opportunities to maintain and improve your physical and mental health, your independence, and quality of life. And these things are very important. So we're talking about your physical, mental, social health. We're talking about your quality of life. We're talking about the fact that it is continuous. And eventually, it's not on the slide, but it's up to you. And it's something that we have to determine to do. It's an intentional, proactive way of thinking and living. The World Health Organization actually is very interested in promoting healthy aging, and they have defined it as the process of developing and maintaining the functional ability that enables well-being in older age. Functional ability, what is that? It's having the capabilities that enable all people to be and do what they have reason to value. So someone used to go out jogging when he was in his 30s. He used to participate in intelligent conversation when he was in his 40s. He used to be able to play with his grandchildren when he was in his 50s. You want to try to be able to do as much as these things, as much as you can, whatever is meaningful to you. But where if you don't age in a healthy way and you become too frail too early, you miss out on things that mean something to you. So, seeing nature, can't stand up, maybe because he's too big or too fat, or his lungs are failing him, and he can't do that again. These things take away from the joy of living, and sometimes even shorten the lifespan without even having a medical problem attached to that. Okay, what else are we talking about? Functional ability. Sorry, I've just moved that slide. We want to be able to meet our basic needs. We want to be able to learn, grow, and make decisions. We want to be able to be mobile. We want to be able to build and maintain relationships and contribute to society. That someone grows older doesn't mean that they're not a valued member of the society. But sometimes if they can't even move or do anything or move around, or they're too ill or too frail, then they can't contribute. And then that makes them feel it's not a very good feeling, I can imagine, because in your younger years, you're doing many things to many people. You're a wife, you're a husband, you're maybe a teacher, a doctor, or you're doing something, somewhere, and when you grow older, obviously you have to retire, but it doesn't mean that your usefulness should end. So it's important to be able to maintain our health in such a way that even in our older ages, as much as we can, our physical, mental, and social well-being are top-notch as they can be, so that we can do all these things. Now, I will put a caveat here. There are some things that one can't control. Some people develop dementia or develop some conditions that it's not like it was any direct thing they did, but we're just talking about what we can do as much as we can do. So let's talk about physical health, okay? Exercise. So this exercise is a very important part. But I think some people mistake exercise as like hardcore cardio, popping, weights and running or doing all sorts of things. And these things are very good. There are people who can do that. At the end of my slide, my slides, I have a link to a story on Instagram where there's this 73-year-old Nigerian woman who, carries weights. She's pretty good at it. And she said she started doing it some years ago, maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I can't remember, and she's been able to maintain it. And you can see she's in great cardiovascular health. So yes, she is, that's really great. But you can do it in small bits. Walking, swimming, strength training, there are different things you can do. You can go to your local gym and, you know, they can curate a form of exercise for you that you can cope with. And the thing is, once you start, you're able to improve. And what are the benefits of this? Cardiovascular health, muscle strength, flexibility. When you don't exercise, your muscles, they atrophy, they begin to waste, right? You become less flexible, you're stiffer. So it's important to get into this pretty early. Actually, this talk is not just for the older people, it's for all of us, I'd say. Okay. The advice is to aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. And moderate intensity exercise is defined as physical activity that increases your heart rate to about 50 to 60% above your resting rate, but without pushing yourself too hard. It helps you stay active and healthy. Now, this sounds technical, but it's very easy. A lot of us have smartwatches. If you check what your resting heart rate is, you can do some physical activity and check, see that if your heart rate is higher, 50 to 60% above what your resting rate is, and you know that you're getting there. So the next slide explains a bit better. It talks about it helps you to burn 3 to 6 times more energy per minute than when you're sitting quietly. And you can do the talk test to find out if you're actually in that moderate intensity range. You're able to breathe, you're breathing harder than when you're not doing anything, but you're still able to speak. So if you reach the level where you can't speak, or you're gasping, just stop, okay? That's probably too much for you. But obviously, everybody has their tolerance levels. And we have to understand that you start slowly, don't do more than you can do per time. But if you are consistent, you'll find yourself doing things that you didn't imagine you could do in a short period of time. So some examples of moderate intensity exercises will be things like walking 2 miles in 30 minutes, or having a brisk walk of 3 to 4 miles in an hour. You could bike 5 miles in 30 minutes, swim laps for 20 minutes, run about 1.5 miles in 15 minutes, jump rope, walk the stairs for 15 minutes, go up, go down, go around pottering around your garden for 30 minutes. So these are things, as you can see, they are things we can easily do. So anyone who had images of going to the gym and running on a treadmill for 2 hours, that's not quite what I'm saying yet, but you will get there, but you can start with this one, these examples, okay? So another thing that's really important is sleep. So sleep hygiene actually is important for both physical and mental well-being. So we could actually put it in either. It's important to have a regular sleep schedule. I think this is important for everyone. Go to bed, get up the same time every day. It might be difficult, but it's a discipline we can work on. Create a comfortable sleep environment. Obviously, the older you get, you need to be more comfortable. Maybe you have a little less soft tissue. So you want a nice, comfortable bed. You want nice pillows. Let the environment be nice. You understand? Let it be as much as you can, tidy, pleasant, or what you find pleasant. You could get people to help you make it to what you want it to be, but be intentional about where you sleep. Sometimes we tend to maybe disregard that because it's maybe the part of the house where no one sees, but it does help when your environment is comfortable and helps you to sleep better. Avoid caffeine, nicotine, smoking, and alcohol in the evenings. Start to wind down early. Avoid screens before bedtime. Avoid them in your bedroom as well. Avoid lying in as well. We're talking about being more physically active, making you move your muscles, move your bones. Don't lie in till like 12 o'clock the next day. Try and get yourself and go stand up, grab yourself a cup of tea, move around. Establish a bedtime routine. Relax by reading a book or having a bath, whatever you like to do. Don't eat a heavy meal late at night. Avoid exercise in the evening. As you grow older, that might be a bit tougher, okay, for you to recover from. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. They say the ideal bedroom temperature is 18 degrees, but do what suits you. Try and avoid napping during the day. The reason being that you might find it difficult to nap at night, and there's what we call a circadian rhythm. The body is suited to sleep more at night. So if you bypass that, even if you nap during the day, you tend to be restless. You don't quite get as rested as you should. Your hormones don't stabilize the way they should. If you like a daytime nap, that's fine. Schedule it for roughly the same time each day so your body's, programmed for that and is able to recover in time for the night. Now, we're going to go to mental well-being. What can you do to keep yourself mentally active? Because being mentally active is important in even how you think about yourself, how you relate with other people, and even how you can contribute to your society. So challenge your brain. When we grow older, I think the WHO defines older age as being 60 and above. Many people start to retire from around that time. So yes, you aren't really going out there to work. You're not really, stimulating your brain as before for many people, but you can still challenge your brain in other ways, read, do puzzles, learn new skills, discuss, talk to your children, your grandchildren, and try and stay current with what's happening. Pursue hobbies and interests, things that you've always liked, that bring you joy and fulfillment, that maybe you couldn't even do so much when you were raising your kids and running around and, working. Develop new interests as well that you've always thought about: gardening, painting, traveling, knitting, minding your grandchildren. Obviously, your children will probably try and hoist them on you anytime they get, if they stay around. But yeah, these things keep you, moving, and they keep you relevant, and they occupy your mind and they make you feel useful as well. Mindfulness and stress reduction to promote mental clarity. So some people like meditation, relaxing exercises, self-care. Do self-care, go for a spa day. Yeah, that you're older doesn't mean you should take care of yourself. Go out with friends, not because there's anything happening, not because there's a 60th birthday or 70th birthday. Go out for, some tea, go sightseeing, but just generally be intentional about stress reduction. I think we all need to learn this, to be honest. Be intentional about there's nothing wrong with doing things just because you want to distress. And keep learning, keep your mind engaged, learning new things, whether it's formal education, informal, online courses. My mom is 70, and without my involvement at all, she was doing Coursera courses, and I've put some links at the end where you can, there are places you can check online and just learn some things that you've always wanted to know about. There's even IT, AI, all of these things that may seem bewildering. And you're like, what's happening? This new generation. You can actually learn, them in, simple bite-sized portions on many of these courses online. Read on diverse topics, and you find that you're able to communicate with people, you're able to talk, you know what's happening, and you just feel better about yourself. Now we're going to come to healthy nutrition. This is another issue, right? And I'd say that amongst us Africans, this is what I have observed. Sometimes we feel that eating well is eating large, eating big. Where I come from, if you want to serve somebody and show them a lot of honor, you put a big plate of food, you stack loads of meat, loads of fish, things like that. And you feel that that's taking care of yourself. But it's not always like that. So we need to eat in a healthy and balanced way. And sometimes you will find that it will greatly affect your portions, greatly affect all the things on your plate. But then the truth is that ischemic heart disease is a major killer. And a lot of food that we eat with all sorts of the bad kind of fats, too much carbohydrates and things like that, have effects on, they clog our arteries with fat and predispose to many problems. But healthy and balanced meals rich in fruit, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats are what we should go for. So healthy fats are unsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, which include omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So not all fat is bad. Oily fish like mackerel, salmon, trout are good. Seeds like chia seeds, sesame, almonds, nuts, walnuts, pecans, hazelnuts, they're good. Olive oil, rapeseed oil, things like that are good. Eggs and beans also are good in omega-3. And these days you have some foods that you see in the shops and they write enriched with omega-3 fatty acids. You're good to go for them. We need to watch our portion sizes and the nutrient density. So you don't want a large plate of food that just has maybe like carbohydrates and just a little protein. You want it well balanced and you want it impactful, I'd say. So I would say that in terms of the portion sizes, there are ways to know what is, suitable for you. But start gradually. If you're used to really large portion sizes, begin to reduce it gradually till you get to the ideal kind of portion size. Because if you start very suddenly, you might feel really starved, but we really need to work on portion sizes. Hydration is important. We need to drink water. As you grow older, you are more at risk of dehydration. When we drink water, it helps to preserve bodily functions and our overall health. Many problems can happen if we're dehydrated, but when we are well hydrated, it helps to prevent urinary tract infections, headaches, constipation, having a low blood pressure that will cause dizziness and falls, kidney stones, and so many other things. So please do drink lots of water. At least 6 to 8 mugs of water in a day. If that's too monotonous for you, some people don't like that. You can dilute some squash at some time or some fruit juice, and generally just make it a habit to have loads of water around you. Maybe a jug by your bedside. If it's too odious to stand up in the middle of the night to go and get water, or just before you sleep, you can have something beside you, but be proactive about drinking water. Have a big, water bottle that can be around the house so you can easily drink, but be intentional about that. Healthy lifestyle choices. Now, this is also another major issue. Smoking, excessive alcohol, and other harmful substances to help prevent a whole range of problems. Okay, the statistics show us that smoking is a major health problem in today's world. It damages the heart and blood circulation, increases the risk of coronary heart disease, can cause heart attacks, strokes, peripheral vascular disease, where the blood vessels are damaged and where the arteries that supply the blood to the brain as well are not so great. So if you do smoke, there are support systems. You can contact your GP on the NHS that would help with your decision to stop. There are many things that can be done to start to cut down first and then maybe stop, but it would really help. This is firsthand experience from how those who have, who are chronic smokers, how their health evolves and how they tend to be more frail when it comes to having other illnesses and things like that, like we had talked about at the start. Alcohol is another major thing. There's a lot of alcohol use, especially here in the UK. And I have seen people of age 20-something, people age 50-something, 60-something, all of which are young, who have died because of excessive alcohol use, because it just messes up with the system. So we need to do everything in moderation, cut down or stop as best as we can. Avoid a sedentary lifestyle. Get up, exercise, interact, get up and go. Don't sit down. Move around. It helps to exercise your bones, your muscles, and your mind. Social and cultural support. This is very important. Even though I'm speaking about healthy aging, I'm also going to speak not just to the individuals, but to the community. I'm saying this because there's not always a good attitude towards seniors, towards the elderly. Especially, maybe I'd say the younger people, but I always like to say, remember that many times the older people feel the same in their heads. They're just different in what they can do in their bodies. So there's a lot of wisdom to learn from interacting with the older ones. And there's a lot of joy that you can bring to them. So I'd say that as we grow older, whatever age you are, be intentional about social connections with family, friends, and community. But I would also say community, be intentional about involving the elderly, whether it is the church, whether it is the mosque, whether it is the environment or community or social clubs or whatever it is. Respect the elderly, give them a place, because there's wisdom you will learn, and we're keeping them alive. We're keeping them feeling relevant. We're keeping them feeling mentally and emotionally better. And that's really important. It's important to participate in community activities, volunteering. If you go to places like the library and many of these public places, you see people who are even of older age, but you can see it keeps them going. and it's really important to not just sit down and say, well, I'm retired, my kids are all gone, there's nothing to do, I'm just pottering around the house. Go out there. It does help in, mental well-being. And the thing is, when you're surrounded by a support system, when you need help, there are people to call, because sometimes kids are not always around. Once they've grown, someone is out, even if they're in the same country you are, they may not be near you. So it's good to have a social and cultural support system. Stay connected. We've talked about that. Be involved in the community. Go to your church, your mosque, clubs, local library, walking, hiking groups. There will be groups like that. You can find even groups on Facebook, maybe 50 and above, walking group, hiking group, where things are done at your own pace, exercise groups, go to the gym. They may have a program for maybe, older people and all of that. Be involved in all of that. It helps. Preventive measures, keep up with regular checkups. Okay, it's important that we don't take things for granted. Do anything you're supposed to do. Go for your yearly checkup, your smear tests, whatever it is, screenings, vaccinations to prevent or manage health conditions. Ensure any existing conditions are well treated or managed. If there is hypertension, there's diabetes, COPD, asthma, whatever it is, take your medications, go for follow-ups. Don't drop the ball on that. Because the disease will just escalate, even if you don't feel symptoms now. But then if you don't take your treatment for a while, there could be problems later. As we grow older, there's the risk of falls. So some homes may need to be modified to make it safer for the older folk. Might need to use assistive devices. Some people have stair lifts, hoist, on their stairs to help them go up. Some people may need a walker, Zimmer frame, or things, whatever is needed. If it is needed, then let's get it just to prevent that. Because when, falls happen, they need to go for surgery. They might have a broken bone, need to go for surgery. And all of these things just worsen, the health condition, especially as they grow older. And then know your limits. So again, I'm speaking to the older folk, and I'm speaking to those who love and care for the older folk. If your parents are in this category and you see that, oh, mom has stumbled a few times, see what you can do to foolproof that house as best as you can. But let's try and prevent as much as possible any problems or accidents. So in conclusion, healthy aging is more than just physical health, about physical health. It's a holistic approach to maintaining well-being across various aspects of life. And by making conscious lifestyle choices and staying very proactive about health, individuals can improve their quality of life. Quality of life is very important. You don't want to live, even if you live till 90, you don't want to live 20 years bedbound on oxygen. You understand, very unhappy and grumpy, and you want to be independent for as long as you can. Healthy aging is intentional. And like I say at the bottom, we can do it because it involves all of us. Thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation. I just have, let me see, some resources are here. So there's this NHS resource. It's a PDF. I'll put the link here, but you can get it online. It's called A Practical Guide to Healthy Aging, and it has really good tips, many things, how to check this, that, take care of this and that. So I would advise, anyone who's interested to download that. There are exercise videos. So there's one particular one I like, and this is very funny. It's a lady who is not a paid advert at all. Someone told me about her, and I really like it. She walks, so it's not, she doesn't run or do, cardio exercise or anything. It's just walking. And she has many videos where you can walk 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles. You can do it right in your living room, right in your bedroom, but you will do enough activities to qualify for having walked 2 miles that day. So you don't even need to go out. So that's good for when the weather is not so great or when you don't just want to go out. I gave my mom this and she's been doing it. My mom is 70 and she's been reminding me to do it. So I'll put it here. It's called Walk With Me by Leslie Sansoni. I just put the link here, but it's if you have a pen, you can write it or quickly check, or if can make this available for everyone. And then I have the Instagram video where the 73-year-old woman lifts weights. That's just to inspire all of us so that we can start with the little ones that we haven't done. There is an NHS resource on health with sleep, better health, every mind matters. I've put the link there. And again, I've put some links to different courses, the Open Study College, Coursera, and then there's an Age UK organization that has some education and training that you can just check, for tips here and there. And then these are my references. So that's it. I'm done. Any questions?
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Adigwe. Thank you so much. And everybody listening, I know we've picked one thing or the other, but for me, just to sum up what I have actually learned today, and I never really quite thought of it that way, aging starts the moment we are born, Once you're born, for every birthday, you're like, happy birthday, you're actually getting older. So we should start preparing for it the moment we're actually conscious enough to take care of ourselves. I think that's the message I got today. And healthy aging is actually reducing that frailty score that will come anyway. So we are all going to get old. It's not going to be able to run away from it. Another reason to be nice to the old people around us. And then we need to start learning to eat well. We need to also start learning to do those moderate exercises, moderate intensity exercises. But more importantly, I actually learned that eating well is not about eating big portions, having 10 pieces of meat in the food for your father because you respect your dad. It's actually the quality of the food to give us better quality of life. And intensity versus consistency in exercising. You have to be more consistent. It doesn't really matter how the intensity is for you. Find your own intensity, individualize it to what you can do, and then gradually work up. So I think deliberate, healthy aging is an intentional exercise. We all need to start it today. Thank you so much, Dr. Adigwe. There are a lot of chats here now, a lot of people wanting to know a bit more. And I'm starting from the social media today. From the social media handle, we have someone saying, Dr. Amanda, my parents nap every day after lunch. And then my mom doesn't sleep much at night. Should she stop napping? And then the second part of the question is saying, are you seeing more patients with issues related to sitting too much? It feels like we are all more sedentary these days, driving everywhere, working at desks. And do you think screen time affects our brain age? So that's straight up from social media for you. And then we'll come back to the Zoom chats. Please remember to put your questions in the Zoom chat. Anywhere in the world you are calling from or joining us from, it doesn't matter. Dr. Amanda,
Yeah.
I want to know the answer to this.
Okay, so thank you very much for your question. As had been mentioned in the talk, if your parents do like their nap, then that's fine. But you can advise them to nap at a certain time. I think you said every afternoon. Maybe shorten the nap and employ sleep hygiene measures that we talked about. Because so if they nap for 2 or 3 hours, try and talk to them about maybe napping for 1 hour, because that would reduce because if she slept too long in the afternoon, then she would find it difficult to go back to sleep. And the truth is, I think there tends to be that problem with sleep as one grows older. So if you're already sleeping maybe too long in the afternoon, there could be the tendency to even struggle even more. So you could advocate for a shorter nap. If she really likes her nap, let her nap. or maybe a shorter nap, maybe a more consistent one, and maybe earlier in the day, instead of if she naps at 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock in the evening, it would be difficult for her to sleep in time. So maybe she naps around 1 to 2. And then all the sleep hygiene measures we talked about, reduce screen time if that is a problem. If she likes her glass of wine, perhaps, maybe she shouldn't have that at night. Nice, comfortable environment which you could set up for her if it's difficult for her whenever you visit. And there are different things people do, some kind of teas you take, chamomile tea, just generally get help her with relaxation methods that would help with the sleep. But I wouldn't say take away the nap. And then the other thing you asked was about screen time. So, well, some people have associated excess screen time to a kind of dementia. It's called digital dementia, they say. So it is possible. I've not done any research on that. I don't know too much about it, but I personally, as we know, even for children, too much screen time is not good. You understand? We can use our brains more effectively. We can engage better when we're not just always sat at our screen. And when you're sat at your screen, you're very likely not mobilizing. So it probably is not a good thing to spend too much time on the screen. In terms of seeing more patients who are sedentary, absolutely. A sedentary lifestyle has become more of an issue in the last, I'd say, 20, 30 years, when people have started sitting at their computers and desk jobs and things like that. So even younger people, it's a factor for ischemic heart disease, for diseases like hypertension, diabetes, especially if there was already a predisposition to it, because you sit down all day, morning to night. So if it's not good even for the younger folk, it's definitely not good for the older folk. And yes, like I was saying, sometimes when we try and assess even the frailty of someone who's old, who we expect to be frail to some extent, it is worse when, they're sedentary and they're not moving around. And it usually speaks of a lower cardiovascular and respiratory reserve. And that means they have less in them to withstand any stress, be it from illness, from surgery, or any other intervention. So yes, it is good for us to move around and ditch this sedentary lifestyle that has become so much a part of today's world.
Thank you very much for those responses. And just to add, I don't know the age of our participant's mom, because is what stating that in the menopause, insomnia is actually a recognized symptom of the menopause. So why I'm putting this out there is that whether mom naps or not, for some of us, that is what we will suffer in the menopause anyways. So it's what's actually seeing if there are other things that could be done, maybe seeing seeing the gynecologist to see if there's some like relaxophane could be applied in that situation, or even maybe low dose amitriptyline for a long time begins to have effect and help with sleep. Just to put that in there. And then with respect to blue light, yes, Dr. Amanda, you're right. The blue light from the screen is known to be at a frequency that interrupts the production of some of the hormones that are going to help us have a circadian rhythm for sleep. So that in itself is not going to help us, and it's going to make us age even faster. So yes, I do agree with that. And there's actually evidence to show that. There is another question from the Zoom floor, but it's been asked by someone who has not labeled their device with their name. But it's an interesting question. And it's from iPhone to everyone. The question is, hello, doctor. Can you tell me why it is that as Black people, we do not talk about sexual relationships between older people? Thank you for your talk. So sexual relationship in the aging population. Dr. Adigwe, don't worry, I'll help you with this. This is down my street.
I was going to say you're the obsession.
Maybe go on and say your bit, and then we can.
I had a little question. My question was to the question: is it that non-Black people talk about it more? Anyway, just being cheeky. I will leave that mainly for Dr. Loretta, but what I would say is that obviously, in terms of mental well-being, that is also an aspect that if it's applicable, and you know what I mean by applicable, if it's applicable, then it would, I'm sure, be helpful. But for the woman, obviously, as both genders grow older, as the man, they have issues with erectile dysfunction, and the women have menopause, which would bring about a low libido and dryness and just a total disinterest and all the other things going on in the body. I would say that there is help for these things. So speaking to the GP will help. There are medications men can take for, erectile dysfunction, and there are medications that women can take to help with the side effects of menopause. And obviously, it is important to have a very healthy marital relationship. And that healthy marital relationship would have started from when you were younger. Because it will be very difficult to, jumpstart things when you're, when the kids have all gone, and and then you finally face each other and say, oh yeah, you are my housemate, aren't you? So, so I would just say, if I want to answer it for those who are, please start building that strong relationship, because there are more obstacles to climb when you're older. It is not as it is not as easy. So you need all the right elements in terms of a good relationship, the right environment, and then physically, you can help, the doctors can help with certain things, and Dr. Loretta would give us more of that.
I really like the way you use the word jumpstart. I mean, this is a very interesting session this morning. To buttress what Dr. Adigwe has said, I want to agree with the person who asked the question. Socioculturally, we don't want to talk about sex. We don't want to talk about, I often joke and say we don't want to talk about anything below the neck, talk less more that thing around your waist. Nobody wants to talk about any of those things. And it's just our own social cultural fabric. And we do know that silence in itself can kill, because that is when you don't share knowledge. And oftentimes we keep these things away, thinking they are the world's biggest secret when they are not. And to be honest, our Caucasian counterparts, to be honest, they talk about these things a lot more. For us Africans, everything is just a bit like secretive, and we should break away from that. Kudos to Khan, Kachip, and the work people like you are doing, Amanda. We are beginning to talk about these things. And to be honest, in terms of reduced libido in aging and reduced sexual drive, it applies to both gender. And we must understand that there are medical factors and there are the natural physiological factors of aging. So the medical factors could be the side effects of chronic illnesses or the medications being used for them. Okay. And we know that diabetes is one big thing that could reduce the sexual drive, erectile function of men, and early morning tumescence is the first thing that goes away in poorly controlled diabetes. And to break that down, it is that when men wake up every morning, physiologically, they have an erection. But in really poorly controlled diabetes, or when you are having some medications, that just goes away. And this can actually have a knock-on effect, because depression sets in, mental health goes down, and sex drive is just down in the valley. And of course, for the women, physiologically, you have menopause, and like you stated, Dr. Amanda, the withdrawal of estrogen from the system. But in all, and testosterone, because people don't know, but women have a bit of testosterone as well. But in all of these, I like what Dr. Amanda said. It's a decisive decision you are making. They both start with a D, don't they? You are walking towards the future. So having healthy relational currency now with your partner, communicating, and communicating. It's important, because at that point, you are going to be able to communicate and say, this hurts me, this pleases me, take your time, increase foreplay, determine that you are going to get lubricants that are water-based, and then you seek help from professionals. And that's why Amanda is here. It's important for their well-being as older people, for people not to think that, oh, once I'm old, then sex is out the window. No. I had a patient last week, 72 years old, still very sexually active woman. Okay. So go out there, come here for today, share the links, and come and seek knowledge. We'll talk about, I think maybe reproductive sexual health in the elderly is something we should look about to the CAN team sometime in the future. But
I
yes,
think
well
so.
done,
There
Dr.
are many
Amanda.
interesting, there are quite some interesting comments here as well. It is,
Yeah, yeah.
people have
So if
really
we,
things to
yeah,
say.
if we go on and pick the next comments in the chat, people, so Sean KD to everyone is saying that we also find people in their 60s and 70s who find love later in life and get married. It's mainly for companionship, but some are still sexually active. And it's also important for their well-being. Thank you very much for that. Dr. Adigwe, do you want to speak to that? Or you want to take it as a comment?
Yeah, it's very, very relevant. And the next person has also said something about that as well. The main thing actually is it is really important for mental well-being. And kudos to the first person who brought it up.
Yeah.
Because hopefully it has given some insight into any older person who might be struggling with it, that it is something to look into, and it should be pursued if applicable. Yeah.
Yes, and Pastor Chinyere Sam Okorenta is saying to all of us, it's not always about intercourse. If no energy for exotic penetration at old age, I like the way she used that word, exotic. They can play physical sex games and act as much as they can. We need to help them fulfill that need than looking at them as they are old and do not need sex. They need it with their spouse if they are both alive. Help them create that opportunity to be together. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that comment. Dr. Adigwe, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, she's hit the nail on the head. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, yes. And Natasha is saying that Dr. Loretta, let's do
Let's
this.
do this.
I
Yeah.
I knew you were going to drag me into this. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll find a date. And just to add to what Pastor Chinyere has written there and Dr. Digwe has been saying, sex is a bit more than penetrative sex. And I think in the African community, these are things we now need to start understanding. There are different ways to actually have sex and pleasure yourself. But I think our religious and sociocultural fabrics mean that we don't talk about these things all the time. So yes, a session is in order because older people have a lot they can do to pleasure themselves more than just penetrative sex, like Pastor has written in the chat. So yes, kudos. Somebody has sent me a message privately on my phone, a question for Dr. Adigwe. Dr. Adigwe, I have a friend who is 20 years old and looks older than 20. She has told me that they have told her in the hospital that she has the age of a 40-year-old and that this is a medical condition. Can you please speak to this? Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So have they said it's I'm not sure if they've said it's a congenital condition or
Well,
she was born with it,
she
or
hasn't told us that. She just
because
said her friend says they told her she has an aging disease. She's not putting
okay.
more in. I wonder
I
why
mean,
she
if
sent
it's
my mobile though.
if it is that, there is I think it's called progeria, but then it starts to show in children. So I really am not sure if this is what this is talking about. And if it is, it's a genetic problem that would manifest with, head abnormalities, growth failure, problems with the skin starts to wrinkle, and they start to look old pretty early. So I'm wondering if really that is what she's talking about. Otherwise, The other thing that cause it would be, maybe lifestyle issues. So bearing in mind, we don't know the details of this friend, and 20 is pretty young, to be honest, but um, in the ICU, we've had a lady who was 24, 22. She had drunk herself to stupor. She was taking vodka every day for maybe like 2 years and hiding bottles of vodka. By the time she came, obviously she still looked young, but her body physiology was like that of maybe an 80-year-old. She couldn't stand anything. She was on multiple support and she eventually died. So obviously she had run her, yeah, it was really sad. So she had run her body down with all sorts of things. I doubt if that's the situation with this lady, but these are the two things I know that could cause, premature aging when there is, one has stressed one's body with certain lifestyle choices, but, in terms of maybe substances and stuff that are harmful to the body, too much food or whatever, or the person was born with a congenital issue. But if it is, and she's being seen by the hospital doctors, they will manage as best as they can. But I can't speak more about that because I'm not sure.
Yeah, or could it be
What do you
something like
think?
maybe fibromyalgia as well?
Chronic pain. Yeah,
Yeah.
chronic conditions can cause, yeah, so maybe she does have chronic pain, but we're not quite sure what it is. But what I'll just advise is if she's being managed by the doctors, then she should if she herself is not very clear on why they said that, she could also
Yeah.
maybe ask for more details because I realize that sometimes people just take one line that's being said and they don't get details about it or they don't ask, and if they're not explained, so it's good to understand what the issue is.
Somebody is asking, same person is asking, avocado I have read has very a lot of fat, yet you say it's a healthy food option. What are we to believe?
No, avocados are pretty healthy and they contain the good kind of fats. So there are different kinds. There's saturated fats, the unsaturated. We talked about the mono and polyunsaturated fats, and we talked about different food groups that contain that. Avocado is known to contain the good kind of fat that's good. A balanced diet that we learned traditionally was carbohydrate, fats, and oils, protein. So fats and oils are not bad. It's just that there's the good and the bad one. And even when you check your cholesterol levels, there's the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. So the kinds of food that build up your good cholesterol are the ones that, are recommended, and avocado is one of them. So
Yeah,
fat is not a bad word. It's just there's good
yeah,
fat and there's bad fat.
yeah. I'll just
Yeah,
add
I'll
to
just
that.
add to that.
But before I say that, please can we put our questions in the chat if we have any more? Because we're about rounding up now. Yes, Dr. Adigwe, what you said is really true. I think what happens is that you go for maybe um, dietary coaches and intervention, and sometimes they tell you, oh, avocado has a lot of calories. Like they'll tell you, oh, honey has a lot of calories. So I think what Dr. Adigwe is trying to make clear is that it may have a lot of calories and fat, but it's the good type. So I think that's something we should take away. We are not disputing that it doesn't have, it's the good type that your body is going to find useful and going to
Yeah.
use as fuel to burn off the bad type. So I think that's a simpler explanation as well. iPhone to everyone is telling us, thank you, doctors, for your answers. I look forward to learning more from the session when it's done. I do agree we don't talk enough about sex. Most things are secrets within our community. Let's talk more. Thank you. Oh, thank you for that nice comment. I'm sure I can see Natasha is already gearing up to get a session
The wheels
on
are turning.
sexual health in the
The
aging. Yeah,
elderly.
in the elderly. Yeah, we'll do that. It's imperative. So, Dr. Adigwe, I can't see any questions in the chat anymore. Natasha, any questions from social media? Otherwise, we can let you have a last word, Dr. Adigwe, and then we'll hand
It's all
over
good
to
from
Dr.
socials.
Albert.
Cleared up the questions.
No other questions. All right. So if in the absence of any other questions from social media side, Dr. Adigwe, do you want to just round up and then we hand over to Dr. Albert Fansa?
So I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for listening and listening intently, because your questions and comments show that you have followed. Again, I will say that the topic is, though it's titled Healthy Aging, is for everyone as long as you're here and you're an adult. Like we had talked about, aging starts from when you're born, you start aging. But I think the medical or physiological definition will be that aging, your organs and systems start to experience changes related to age from about 30, but then you're maybe officially an older person when you're 60 and above, according to today's definitions. So it just shows that it applies to everyone. To age in a healthy manner is a very intentional and proactive thing. And there are many things that we all can do. Okay. Yesterday night, when I was wanted to have dinner and I was rounding up this presentation, I was thinking of what I was going to eat, and I was like, walk the talk, Amanda. Carefully about your choices, but yes, we have to start making those choices now. Make choices about what you eat, make choices about your physical activity, your mental well-being, preventive medicine, treat whatever is, you need to treat, be out there, interact, stimulate your brain, and, hopefully we all, progress along the path of aging in a healthy and graceful manner, so that even when your grandchildren are around you, you communicate with them, you can move around, play a little, run a little around the parlor, garden and stuff like that. So this is my charge to everyone, including myself. We can do it. And looking forward to that session. I'll be front row seats to listen to Dr. Loretta. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Adigwe. Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Adigwe. So we've heard today from Oluyemisi Amanda Adigwe about healthy aging. And she said, do something differently. Make up your mind to do something differently. Healthy choices. I want to appeal to all of us here today before I hand over to Dr. Albert Ponsa. We are about 50 on this call today. Do something differently. Share the link, share the flyer with someone each time you get that Captive Health Hour flyer and link. Do it a bit differently next time. Be determined and say, I want to bring in 2 people with me to share this health hour and share the knowledge and the power. Thank you very much. Dr. Albert Kwanzaa, over to you now. Thank you, Dr. Adigwe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Loretta.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Amanda and Dr. Loretta. It's been an insightful, morning filled with lots of information. We are happy that you've been able to share information that we need as a Black community to help us age gracefully. I just have a few things to share with you. If you would give me a few seconds to just load this up. All right, kindly let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right, lovely. Right, so the next health hour session would be next week, happening at the same time, 11 a.m. to 12:15. We would be speaking about food allergies and would have our specialist on board, Dr. Folake Yusuf. Come join us next week, and prepare to bring along your questions. If anything you would like to ask her of, or anything you'd like to share, kindly bring that along. You can also register for this health hour session by emailing info@can.org.uk. And so don't forget to join us next week for another exciting session. There are also other things that we also do at CAN, and would like everyone else on this chat to be on board and also share with or people that they know. So we have the Healthy Heart. Healthy Heart would be happening on the 20th of August in the evening from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And we'll be doing a lot of talk about what you should be eating, what kinds of things you should be putting into your body. And we also have a 30-minute workout session at the end of the nutrition session. And we entreat everyone else to join. And as I said, kindly, um, you know, share the word, spread the word, let other people be part of this. Um, I forgot to mention that the registered nutritionist that will be with us that day will be Sylvia, and the physical instructor is Orlando Grant. To register for this event, kindly send an email to event@can.org.uk. We also have the Healthy Homes Conference, as we also know that the kinds of accommodation we live in can also impact our health. And so we have the Healthy Homes Conference. You can scan that QR code on your screen to register, or you can email at homesforhealthy@can.org. The next session is going to be on the 30th of August from 4 to 7 p.m. Kindly share the link. If you scan the QR code, share with other people, and we entreat you to be there as well. We also have the Victims Voice panel, which is actively recruiting at the moment. And so this is more dedicated towards people who have suffered domestic violence. And we are looking for young individuals, 18 plus, who would like to help us with this. All this is happening in Manchester. If you'd like more information, kindly contact dvsa@can.org.uk, or you can text or call us on the number on your screen. Then we also have the Black History Month. This is upcoming on the 25th of September. This will be in Manchester. If you are interested, everyone is everyone is invited to join this event. But if you're interested in having a stall, you'd send an email to events@can.org.uk, and we will respond and get you a stall. Kindly, as I said, invite everyone. It's a big day. That's one of the flagship events for the organization and for all Black people in the UK. So please come along and let's enjoy that day. And today, if you are with us in Manchester, we are having a cultural barbecue. It's already ongoing. Started at 11, will be ending at 3:30 this afternoon. Come, let's have fun. It's specifically for Caribbean and African pregnant people, new parents, and families, but it's for us, it's for the community. So come join us. Let's enjoy the sun, let's enjoy some barbecue, and hopefully we'll see you all again next week. Thank you for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of the week.
Safe.